Right, today is, as I say, another day, and I hope you won't get bored with me talking of the British weather all the time. This past 10 days we had temperatures of 30 degrees centigrade and we were boiling away, and I was wearing my Hawaiian shirt. Earlier this morning I had to put on my duffel coat, woolen coat and anorak to get warm, and the last 2 hours we've had so much rain that the nursery is flooded with water. Look at it, the whole nursery is flooded. So here I am wading through all the rain, and you can see all the rain here. But what I'm going to talk about, we love the rain because everything looks nice and fresh. I'm going to talk about, as an introduction, about defoliation or leaf cutting. And I'm going to get Padmapriya to talk about it because he is approaching leaf cutting from a completely different angle. So leaf cutting, what is leaf cutting? Leaf cutting, there's a lot of ideas as to why it is done, but leaf cutting is done for a number of reasons. But what is leaf cutting first of all? Leaf cutting is when you remove every single leaf from the tree. Like that you can either pull it off or cut it off. So it's removing every single leaf from deciduous trees. You don't do it to conifers like this, you only do it to deciduous trees. And leaf cutting is done for several reasons. It is done to produce a second crop of leaves. And the second crop of leaves, some people believe that you get a smaller size leaf. So that is one reason. We also do leaf cutting when the tree gets burnt by the frost or get burnt by the sun. And if it's not looking nice, we remove the leaves so that it produces a second crop of leaves. I've done it just now to this tree. If you come here and I will show you. This is a sycamore. And you know how large the sycamore leaves are. I removed every single leaf off, and look at this. All these new leaves coming out are much smaller, but then this is still quite big, so I'll probably remove this. So removing the leaf is called defoliation or leaf cutting. There are all sorts of different terms, but you know what we mean. It is simply removing the leaf from the petiole like this, and then hopefully it will produce a second crop of leaves. So that is what leaf cutting is and why people do it. And of course, don't be surprised that sometimes the leaves don't become small, because it doesn't always work that way. And what happens with leaf cutting is when you do leaf cutting, you're making the tree work twice as hard. It's like making it do 2 summers. So it's like forcing it to go through a second dormancy and then producing a second crop of leaves. So because you're making it work twice as hard in the same year, the tree needs to be strong. If you do it to a weak tree, then it may not work. You could stress the tree too much because it's a very stressful exercise. So those are the reasons for doing it. And you could talk at length about leaf cutting. Different people have different ideas. But I want to show you this particular video about leaf cutting or defoliation from Padmapriya's point of view. And he's looking at it more from meditation, apart from the actual botanical process of the leaf cutting. So I hope you enjoy his video, because I like to bring a different slant, a different angle to different aspects of bonsai. So please enjoy his video, okay?
Hi everybody. Padmapriya from Herons Bonsai here. As you can see, I've just started defoliating a rather large maple tree, and I got about halfway through it and suddenly thought that Peter might come out and start shouting and saying he wants to make a YouTube video out of it. So I thought I'd make a short 5-minute video on at least how I've defoliated this particular tree. So probably the first question is why would you defoliate a tree? My understanding is the principal reasons for defoliating a tree are to create ramifications. So that's creating lots of little branches, and by doing that you also decrease the node length, so the length between 2 nodes on any given branch. And the knock-on effect of reducing the space between nodes on branches is that the leaves tend to be smaller. So you'll get, instead of having a leaf that's maybe something of this sort of size, what I'm hoping for is to try and end up with a leaf of something more like this sort of size. So you can, maybe you can sort of see the sort of size difference that we're looking for. There's other reasons to defoliate trees as well. When we get heavy frosts on the nursery and they burn the ends of the leaves, we quite often defoliate the trees then as well. But this tree here is a tree that when I first joined Herons about 5 years ago, I was out in the field. That was my main role, was keeping the field watered. And this was one of the trees that I cut down. You can see the original cut here. Originally did have sort of a twin trunk sort of thing going on up here, but I decided that I was going to develop this side of the tree and leave that side alone. So I've removed another branch that was coming out here. And I guess, at least for me and my beginner's knowledge of bonsai, I'm just starting what I consider to be the final process really, which is just really ramification. So just getting thicker growth, healthier growth, smaller leaves. Yeah, and one of the other good things about defoliating a tree is you can really see the branch structure. So you can really start deciding which branches you might want to keep, which ones you're gonna lose. So yeah, that's why I'm defoliating this tree. So when defoliating a tree, you've seen Peter maybe in one of his videos where he goes along and he plucks all the leaves off the tree, and that certainly does work. So maybe I'll just show you an alternative, and this is sort of my preferred way of working. So when you're trying to defoliate a tree, you take some very sharp secateurs, or these are my Ikebana scissors, and you want to cut just below where the leaf joins the stem. Nice sharp scissors gives you a nice clean cut, which means the wounds can heal that much easier. That obviously reduces the stress on the tree. So we normally wouldn't get the time to do this on the nursery. On a commercial nursery, this sort of final sort of stage of development, if you like, is quite time consuming. So we don't always have the time to do this sort of thing. So I brought this tree home to my home, and yeah, I'll try and finish this tree off as best I can here. One of the other things that I've been asked to is a lot about the meditative aspects of bonsai, and even by Buddhists that I know that have asked me, you know, what does it feel like to meditate? And for me, doing a repetitive physical task like this actually helps you enter into that sort of the zone, as they call it in sort of meditative terms. But just this constant repetitive motion doesn't really require too much by way of thinking. It just brings you fully into the moment, and just allows you to really enjoy the present. So I'm going to carry on defoliating this tree, and hopefully show you a shot at the end of it. So if all goes according to plan, what should happen is these stems that have been left on, so the leaf has been removed from the end here, the remaining stem should die back to the node, and then hopefully at the node you will then get 2 new buds, and those new buds should then send out new stems with new leaves on it, hopefully shorter leaves. That's the plan anyway. So you might be able to see here I've left a few leaves on the tree. Now I did overhear Peter the other day, and he said you need to remove all of the leaves off the tree, and I've certainly read that. I've also read that it's a good idea to leave a few leaves on the tree so that it continues to draw sap up, in the hope that that will actually keep the tree healthy and operating as it should be. I'm not brave enough to cut all the leaves off this tree, so I'm going to leave a few leaves on it, and just hope that that is sufficient to keep the tree pulling up sap and operating as it should. So one of the things we quite often get asked on the bonsai nursery is, does pruning, or in this case defoliation, stress the tree out? And of course it does, yes. I don't think anybody would deny that removing the leaves off of a tree is going to create some stress for the tree. The good thing about it is that it is mimicking a natural process that does happen in nature. As I said, if a frost hits, this would, the tree would literally defoliate itself. It would drop off all of the leaves and then produce new buds and hopefully new leaves within the same season. So trees, by their very nature, are equipped, shall we say, to deal with this kind of treatment. But that is no excuse for not taking your responsibility to the tree seriously and making sure that it is well watered. And once the buds start forming and you start seeing some growth, you can start thinking in terms of feeding the tree again. And again, there's lots of different ideas on how to feed things. I personally prefer to put very weak feed in all of my watering so that the tree doesn't go through a feast and famine thing every 2 weeks, which is the typical what it says on the bottle type advice. So at the end of the day, wherever you are in the world, your conditions are going to be different, and you need to just do what I'm doing, I guess, in a way, which is try a method and then just see whether it works for you or not. So we're not too far off now, a couple of hours worth of mindfulness practice, which is always good, but nearly there. So here we are, some hours later, suitably blissed out from several hours worth of mindful activity. And this is where I'm going to leave the defoliation on this tree. So I'm going to put it out of the sun. I'm going to keep it in a semi-shaded position. Maples can survive in full sun, but my experience has been that the colours are longer lasting and stay richer if they're kept in semi-shade. But again, you've got to try your own methods and see what works and what doesn't. I'm a novice, I'm just learning, I'm researching things as I go along, listen to the advice of different people and then make a decision of my own, and then live with the consequences of that. But hopefully, it's now June, or just touching on June. Within about 4 to 6 weeks maybe, this tree will have reflushed, and hopefully I can show you a picture of a successful defoliation. Anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, that's it. Thanks very much.